13.8 billion years ago, in the very first microseconds of existence, the universe expanded by a factor of 10 to the 30th, a million trillion trillion. In those fleeting, explosive moments, the universe locked in the physical rules we operate under right now. Once set, those laws never changed. Human systems work exactly the same way. In 1787, the framers of the United States gathered to write the rules for a new country. They debated intensely over representation, and the resulting compromises were practically permanent. Today, California has more than 50 times the population of Alaska, but they have the exact same representation in the Senate. We are stuck with it. Peter Thiel calls this permanence Thiel's Law. A startup messed up at its foundation cannot be fixed. If your initial rules are flawed, you cannot tweak your way out of it. It will likely take a bankruptcy-level crisis before anyone even tries to correct them. When you start a new company, your very first decision is the most dangerous, deciding who you will build it with. Partnering with a stranger from a networking event is like marrying the first person you meet at a Vegas slot machine. You might hit the jackpot, but the odds are completely against you. Co-founders face intense stress, and conflicts between them are as ugly as a divorce. To survive that pressure, they need a prehistory. They must know exactly how they work together before any money is on the line. Without that shared track record, the founding team is operating purely on luck. A fatal mismatch in values or work ethic will inevitably tear the company apart from the inside, regardless of how good the actual product is. To prevent an organization from tearing itself apart, you have to balance 3 vectors of power. Ownership holds the equity, possession runs daily operations, and control governs affairs. When unbalanced, the structure rots. At the DMV, clerks hold complete possession, but have zero ownership over results. Because they aren't accountable to the outcome, the bureaucracy simply lurches sideways on its own inertia. Even elected politicians with nominal control cannot force it to change its behavior. You see a similar rot in giant corporations like General Motors. A mega CEO has almost total possession of the company's massive resources, but mathematically they own a trivial fraction of the total stock. That structure incentivizes them to focus entirely on possession, protecting their high salaries and corporate jets, rather than building distant value for the actual owners. Startups survive by tightening these vectors. The founders retain both ownership and possession, meaning they run the daily operations and hold a massive stake in the outcome. A formal board of directors steps in to maintain control, but that control is strictly capped. The ideal startup board is exactly 3 people. It should never, ever exceed 5. A microscopic board forces genuine oversight, because a small group can communicate and oppose bad management. A massive board does nothing but provide prestigious camouflage for whoever is acting as a micro-dictator. Alignment also requires absolute commitment. Novelist Ken Kesey had a strict rule: you're either on the bus or off the bus. In a startup, that means everyone involved needs to be full-time. Hiring part-time consultants or letting people work remotely fractures the team. At the margin, anyone not pulling a regular full-time oar is heavily biased to extract short-term value rather than build for the future. A CEO collecting $300,000 a year risks becoming a politician who defends the status quo to protect his salary. A cash-poor executive is forced to look toward the equity, meaning the only way he builds personal wealth is by aggressively surfacing and fixing problems to increase the company's total value. The same logic applies to the rest of the staff. Cash bonuses train employees to grab whatever value already exists today. Equity, however, forces the team to focus entirely on creating new value tomorrow. Equity is highly illiquid, and because early hires get vastly more than later ones, the details of who owns what must be kept strictly secret. Yet it remains the single best mechanism for aligning entirely selfish human motives with the long-term survival of the company. A shared prehistory between founders, a fiercely small board of directors, a team united by strict equity. Locking in these exact variables strips away the internal friction dragging most organizations to a halt. When the foundation is solid, all the company's energy flows outward. Musician Bob Dylan once observed a stark rule of survival: he who is not busy being born is busy dying. The founding lasts as long as a company is creating new things. It ends the moment creation stops and the business shifts towards the stewardship of inherited success. A flawlessly engineered foundation allows you to escape the trap of managing a decaying legacy. If you set the initial rules perfectly, you can extend that founding moment indefinitely, far into the future.